My name is Faustine Chan. I'm the Business Innovation Manager for BB serving the Pacific Southwest. I've actually just been having a conversation with Angela here just to let the time fly. We didn't want to sing elevator music for everybody, so. But thank you everyone for joining us. We have a great speaker today. We have Angela Moore. She is the founder and president of 6 Degrees Digital Media, which has launched in 2010. And she's also worked in online and marketing sales since 2000. She's served over 100,000 clients in multiple services and also taught programs in business entrepreneurship. She's also a mom of 2 awesome kids, which is her real legacy. She's also a huge fan of Disney and also superheroes. She would love to save the world, but right now she's just settling for saving one business at a time. So please welcome our speaker today, Angela Moore.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and put my video on up here so everybody can at least see me. I wanted to have my cool superhero background, but it is not working with this laptop, so we'll just have to, you know, go for the plain old wall. But it wasn't 100,000; it's over 100. I would love to say I've served over 100,000 clients. That would be pretty cool. But that was just a slight misstep there. So I don't want anybody to think that. But anyway. I am going to share my screen so that we can jump right in. I know we have a limited time today, and as Faustine said, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and then I'll give you a place at the end too if some of your questions don't get answered, or if you have a question later that you think of, maybe on the replay, or you just didn't have a chance to put it in the chat before we got cut off, then you can go ahead and grab that link as well and ask me later. So in this economy, actually it is unique, but in a lot of ways it isn't, because when we think of an online economy, a lot of people are still getting used to either taking their business from brick and mortar to adding the additional online component, or they are wanting to start something online, or there's all different types of ways, because online is really just a little bit of a different animal than doing things in person. So I'm going to give you 5 ways to grow your business online in any economy, even if you're not tech savvy, because I know that's what scares a lot of people and throws a lot of people off. So you guys ready to get started? Excited? All right, good. All right, so as Faustine mentioned, I'm Angela Moore, president and founder of 6 Degrees Digital Media, and we launched in 2010. So we've been around for about 10 years now. We actually just quietly celebrated our 10th anniversary, and now that things are getting back to normal, we'll probably do some big party somewhere. So that's going to be kind of fun. So what we're going to cover today is a few different ways that you can build business growth. And one is networking online. We're going to talk about sharing content, creating free offers. That's a great way to grow your list, your following, your tribe. Low-cost offers, memberships and programs, and then plus a couple of alternatives and a bonus. So as also Faustine mentioned, I've been working online since 2000. So my first job working online was selling banner ads and newsletter sponsorships. So that's how far back that was. Then we decided to create 6 Degrees Digital Media in 2010. Marketing is my first love from the time I was a little kid and had the lemonade stand in my grandma's front yard. And I realized we were doing better than most lemonade stands because I had a fresh lemon tree in the backyard at my grandma's house. So ever since then, and then my first marketing class, that kind of sealed the deal for me. And then I've also taught for the University of Arizona for their business entrepreneurship program, and at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. And we have served hundreds of clients with multiple services, and I kind of know my way around the internet. And this is one of my alter egos here, Indy Angie Jones. You'll see her starring in the video on our website if you go visit there, and you'll get kind of a taste of how we like to make the boring exciting. So with that said, let the adventure begin. All right, so when we talk about networking online, I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts. You probably get these just like I do. And whether this could be from an email, this could be in a LinkedIn request, it can be any type of direct message, right, from Facebook or whatever. And sometimes they're before or after you've actually accepted the request, depending on the rules of the platform. So here's a specific example. When this guy reached out to connect with me, and I get a lot of connection requests from people that sell to marketing agencies. So whatever industry you're in, you're going to get hit up with people that, if you're a small business, you're going to get people asking you about PPC ads. You're going to get people who want to do your Google business listing, all sorts of things, right? Email campaigns, all that good kind of stuff. Well, think about how you feel when you get that. So we don't want to do that. When someone connects with you, the first thing that you want to do is add value. You don't want to just go blatantly give them your sales message because you haven't built any trust factor. You haven't given them a reason to know, like, and trust you, which is super important. So a better way to get connected with them, when either someone requests a connection with you, or if you're requesting with them, everybody likes to be popular. So go find their last post. If you're connected with them on social media, you'll be able to start seeing their stuff. And you may have to go to their profile depending on whether or not you see them in their newsfeed, but give them some attention, right? Start showing up on their posts so they know, hey, that's great. They like my stuff. Who are they? And they're going to come get together with you. Now, I have a very specific process that I follow. And here was a really good example. So this woman has some software, some social media scheduling software. And I also have a piece of software that I use to help create content. So I knew we both sold to the same demographic. And I kind of have this standard reply when someone sends me a message and I do want to connect with them. So not like the first guy, right? But Nayan here, this was really good. I'd like to connect here and see if there's an opportunity to work together. That's a great statement. And so what I said back to her, and this is pretty much what I send to everybody, and sometimes I customize it a little bit depending on what it is they do, but it's really good, right? We don't want to waste their time. We don't want to waste our time. So I always let them know it's good to meet them. I want to know more about who their ideal client or customer is. And then let's schedule a time. And then I've tested this both ways because I actually have a calendar link that someone can schedule with me right away. But when I added my calendar link in there, I didn't get as many replies. So even though I'm replying back to them, if I do it without a link first and just ask them, hey, do you want to set up a time to chat? Then when they reply back, I'll go ahead and say, great, here's my calendar, check this against yours. And I use a system called Calendly, and they have, I believe, a free version. There's like a $10 a month version, and you get a couple of extra calendars, because I use a bunch of different ones. I even use it for my lunch calendar. When I'm networking, I'll use that, and it's great because it helps. You can give people choices in there. So think about how you can adjust your messaging when you're sending something out to people or when they're connecting with you, so that you can make it mutually beneficial. And I'm going to cover in just a bit another way that you can do that when it's someone that you think might not be a good fit for you, because we never want to prejudge our connections. So here's another way, is you want to ask for introductions. So in LinkedIn, they make it a little bit easier than in Facebook. But if you're B2B, LinkedIn is really a must. And let's say I wanted to meet Moshe. Well, I can see down here that we have 7 mutual connections in common. So one of the things that we can do is reach out to one of our connections and ask them, hey, can you give me an introduction? Because we all know that a warm introduction is better than a cold introduction, right? So wouldn't you rather have a referral to the person that you want to meet? It just works volumes better. And same for them. Like I've done it, I've been on both the giving and the receiving end of that. So within LinkedIn, it'll tell you who you know. I mean, that's just brilliant. You really want to take advantage of that. This person knows this person. So let me show you how that worked out for me. So Ryan, I'm connected with on LinkedIn, and he wanted to meet Ed. And so he had sent me, hey, Ange, can you introduce me to Ed? And I'm like, sure, Ryan. I had already met Ryan. We'd already had a couple of conversations. So we were building that relationship. So I was happy to do that favor for him. Ed and I have only spoken once. I did some work for his company a long time ago, and I could tell he probably didn't even remember me because he's got so many connections. But it was still a better introduction for Ryan than Ryan just reaching out to Ed, because he was, former CEO of one company. Now he sits on boards and all that thing. So you want to think about that too, is what is the perceived position of the person that you want to meet. So if they're a higher executive, then it's even better to have that introduction. If it's somebody that looks like they may have more time on their hands and would probably just accept your request anyway, you can just reach out to them. And you might even want to mix it up. It all depends on what business you're in, what industry you're in, and who it is you're trying to meet. So the next thing that I want to talk about is getting in the right groups. And this is still kind of confusing for some people because there's groups in LinkedIn and there's groups in Facebook. And most of the groups that I've seen in LinkedIn a lot lately aren't as moderated as well, and it might just be the groups that I'm in. So there's a few where they've just sort of become a pitch fest, and I don't like it when that happens. If nobody's adding value or good conversations, then you really don't need to spend your time in that group. The other thing is, depending on how big that group is, you might just be a drop in an ocean. So when groups are so big, it's hard to get noticed. And the right way to get engaged in a group is to start posting comments on other people's posts first. You're going to scroll through the groups and see what type of posts do get engagement, because it's always good if we can model success. And now we're trying to break into basically a cold audience, but a mass cold audience. So we want to do it the right way. So again, the best way to do that is see the type of posts that other people are already getting engaged with. And it's not just the first time you get in a group, you just promote yourself, unless that's what the group is about. But if that's what the group is about, you're not going to get any business from there, because everybody is in there only to promote themselves. So the old saying, give before you get, really applies in Facebook groups. You want to start commenting on other people's posts first. You want to do that for a bit so people start seeing your name. And that's not just the person who put the post up, but it's also the other people that are getting engaged on that post. And then after people are seeing your name a little bit more, then you can go ahead and start crafting some of your own posts. And you could do things that are lighthearted. You could do things that are more thought-provoking questions. And after a while, you can even start sharing some offers if it's permitted. So you always do have to follow the group rules. Most of the time, you would be able to post if you were going to host a webinar or something like that. But if you're just posting, hey, we've got a deal this weekend, come check it out, a lot of groups won't allow you to do that unless it's on a designated day. But what you need to do is simply check the group rules so that you don't get banned. And the same goes for Facebook groups, but Facebook groups have an extra little feature that LinkedIn groups don't have. Now, when you're qualifying your groups, you can actually see the groups the people that you want to meet. It shows what groups they're in at the bottom of their profile. So you can actually say, oh, I know I want to meet people that are in this group. You go join that group and you just wait until you get approval. Now with Facebook groups, some have, some are private. Most groups are private these days. The public groups don't have as much value. Now, some private groups are going to be because you bought a program from the group owner, and that's why you get in. Other times, it's just private, and they're using that to build their own following. So when you're looking at those type of groups, a lot of times you'll get the suggestions from Facebook, but you can start thinking about don't think about just your industry. Think about the hobbies that you like and other things, because a lot of times we can make connections with people who are interested in the same things as we are, and they may also happen to need our product or service. It works really well for businesses that are B2C, business to consumer. It's a little different when it's business to business, because like I'm a Disneyland fan. Well, I can go in and join the Disneyland group. I don't know if there's other business owners in there that are going to need my services, but as they start getting to know me, if they do, if they are business owners, then we'll already have that one connection. So the other thing that you have to do is be mindful of how much time you spend in your groups. And if there's a group that doesn't have any engagement going on, just don't spend your time there. So you might join a group and see that there's just simply no engagement there. It's okay to leave, right? So ultimately, if you have 3 really great groups that have engagement and that you can engage and contribute in, that's going to be super beneficial for you. So don't feel like you have to join 100. Don't feel like you have to join 10. You may join more than that at the beginning in order to find the 3 that are going to be the most successful for you. Now, within Facebook groups, this is something that some people don't know about, but is super beneficial. And I would love if you pop in the chat if you've actually used this before, because I'd like to know. So within Facebook groups, there is a search feature, and there's a couple of different ways that you can use this feature. The first one, of course, is simply looking for keywords that are around the product or service that you offer. So I'm in marketing. So now this is basically a local group here in the Phoenix area, but I've gotten business from it before, from friends that have referred me when somebody else was looking for a web developer. So what you can do is you can pop some keywords in here, and you can use different ones and see. Now you don't want to go too far back. If it's too old, then it's not going to matter. But if it was within the last week, and if you get yourself in the habit of this, then it's going to be beneficial for you. So you can look at, like, I might be looking at marketing, I might be looking at web design, web development. I'm looking for people who are posting about a need that they have. So if you're a plumber, or if you're a baker, it doesn't matter what you are, think about the things that people are looking for, they are in search of. And again, this is a local group, so these type of people might be looking for more local help. But there's going to be other groups that are more online. Like I've gone into groups before, and I've said, like right now I'm getting ready to do a summit, and I'm looking for a speaker. So I went in and I was looking for very specific types of speakers. The next thing that you can do is look for strategic partners. And this is one that's highly overlooked, highly underused, but highly effective. And you want to make relationships with people that you can send referrals to and that can send referrals to you. You should have a really big, what do you want to call it, power partners or strategic partners. So you can go in these various groups and look at people that you know. Now I want you to think about this. Don't think about who can serve you. I mean, yes, ultimately that's, you want that too, but who do you know? Think about who you can refer business to. Maybe like I remember when I was in another networking group, we needed a CPA. We were referring people to CPAs all the time, but we didn't have any. So if you're a bookkeeper and you refer a lot of clients to CPAs, that's something you could put in here. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking to make connections with mortgage brokers or mortgage agents, put that in there. So start thinking about these groups of not just getting clients and customers or patients. Think about using these groups to build strategic partnerships. It's that whole premise of, the whole concept of, give a man a fish or teach a man a fish. Well, in this instance, a client, you might meet one person, but if you meet a strategic partner, that's going to be long-term business for you. Obviously, you have to build that relationship up, but get to know the people that are your potential strategic and power partners. So start thinking of which groups would have the same type of people that sell to your demographic, or the people that sell to the same demographic. Now, the next thing, when I put copywriter in here, I want to show you this. So this was somebody that was looking for a copywriter. So she wasn't a copywriter, but, and this one's saying here, but that only had 2 comments. So you can actually click on the comments when you see these posts, And this is how it looks. So now I can see all these 21 comments of other people that are recommending copywriters. So this would be the case for if you're looking for a strategic partner and all these people are copywriters, because I want to know copywriters. So the thing is, I can look through this and now I can click on their name and I can go send them a friend request, or I can drop a reply in here, or I can simply send them a direct message in Facebook. So first you're going to search, then you're going to check the original post, but you also want to look at those comments, okay? Now the next thing I want to talk about is sharing content, because the more you can showcase your area of expertise and authority, the more people are going to think about you, right? So we want you to be top of mind. And there's a lot of different ways that you can share content. And if you're not used to producing content, then you're just going to start with one, and then you can grow from there. Or you can find somebody maybe on your team. If you have even a small staff, there might be somebody that's always wanted to write a blog, or somebody that's always wanted to do video, or somebody that's always wanted to do social media, whatever it is, a podcast. So leverage the power of your team as well. You can also get freelance talent to help you. So blogging and guest blogging can be really beneficial. So we put a blog out every week, and I like to invite other people to guest blog on my site, and that's beneficial a few different ways. Number one is because then they will share the blog that they wrote for me to all of their networks. So that's beneficial. So it's leading people back to my website. It also gives me a week off from writing, which is another little benefit. But so it's a win-win situation for everybody. And then, like for instance, with this one, he did a guest blog for me, and then I did a guest blog for him. So now it was kind of like the double dip. So he shared my site with all of his network, and then when I came and did a guest blog on his site, now anybody that's coming to his page, they would see my information, right? So this top one was a blog that was on my site, and then this one down here was the guest blog that I did on his site. And people love it when you can save them time or give them more exposure. So I get hit up all the time from people asking if they can do a guest blog on my site, but I always look for people that are the best fit, and I want to make sure it's not something that's spammy. So, but that's a way that if you do need to start producing content, even if you don't want to write it, you can have guest bloggers, because that's still, you get some intrinsic value from that simply because it's on your site. Number one, Google loves it when you add frequent relevant content, but it's also something that you can share on social media and lead people back to your website, because ultimately that's where you're generally getting most of your leads, right, is people from calling or that, unless you're using social media ads and different landing pages, but that's a little bit of a different strategy. The next thing you can do is produce video. And there are so many ways to produce video these days. We have a studio here, so I'm always going in, but the other ways that you can do slideshows, you can do videos with your camera. You can even create little videos with, there's a lot of template style sites out there now, and you can create different types of videos, whether they're value add video, whether it's, you know, brand awareness, brand loyalty, maybe you're making a little offer. But again, you can even do a slideshow in PowerPoint and turn that into a video. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. If you work online at all, one of the things that I frequently do is a screencast. So if there's something that you can show someone on a desktop, much like how this is being recorded, so you can use the free feature of Zoom, you could use Jing, J-I-N-G, which is a free tool, and that's by a company called TechSmith, which has a whole suite of tools. There's all different sorts of ways that you can screencast and show people how to do things on a website. I'll show people how to set up Google Analytics. I've shown people how to do things in their, in GoDaddy or in their hosting account or in Facebook. There's little tutorials that you can put together that showcase your expertise. That's great. Do that. One of the cool things about video is that you can actually see how many people have watched it. So with your blogs, if you have Google Analytics installed, you can see how many times somebody visited that page, but there's different analytics within YouTube and Facebook where you can see not just number of views, but also the length of time that somebody viewed it as well. So think about that. There's, again, a plethora of choices now when it comes to making video. It's not nearly as expensive or as difficult as it used to be. So the next one is infographics. This is another form of content. So there's basically 4 forms of content. You've got written, you've got video, you've got audio, and you've got images. Infographics are great. So the cool thing about infographics, and a lot of people don't know this, is within Google, you can do different type of searches. And one of the choices in here is if you just want to find images. And people come here to find images all the time, whether it's to embed something on their site or share on social media or whatever it is. And if you've made some infographics, they can come up in these searches and people will see that. So we do a lot of golf infographics because we have a client, a golf college, so we're doing infographics for them all the time, and a lot of them come up in search in images. And you don't have to make one of those, people get confused with exactly how much data needs to be in an infographic. An infographic can be, like 4 points, or it could be a huge, what they call data graphic that has 100 points. Don't let that scare you. Don't think that you need to do something that's outrageous. The main thing is that you want it to be, excuse me, you want it to have value. So as long as it has value, it doesn't matter how long it is. I've done infographics that have 4 points, 10 points, and then I've had some that have 20 and 50. So, and I'm a fan of actually doing smaller graphics because when they get too big, they're harder for people to read. You need to expand it. So don't be afraid there. The other benefit when you do infographics is there are what's called infographic sharing sites, and you can get a lot of value out of that as well. So with podcasts, let's move on to that because now we're to the audio portion, right? And podcasts are hugely popular right now. And it's not, if you've never done it before, then what I'm going to recommend is that you start getting on as many podcasts as you can. And they can be in your niche or just things that you're interested in. And start taking notes about the things that you like and the things that you don't like. What would you do different? What was it that really hit home for you? Think about the way they do their introductions, the way they do, kind of the meat of the podcast and their sign off. And are they interviews? Is it just that person? Because both can be very effective. There's some people that always interview other people, and then there's some people that just get on and they're talking. So either way, you can get results with podcasts. It's going to take you a while to build up a listener base, but you can see from the statistics here how many people are podcast listeners, right? So, and this was 3 years ago, but 60 million homes, right? So if you think people aren't watching or listening, that's not true. So had somebody ask me that the other day, are people still listening to podcasts now that they don't have a commute or they're commuting less? And the answer to that is, we know it takes, roughly 3 or 4 weeks to create a habit. But once you have that habit, if they have podcasts that they absolutely love, that's ingrained in them now. They don't want to miss their favorite podcast. I mean, if they're doing it for continuing education units, maybe, but if it's something that they're really looking forward to, they're not going to stop listening to it just because they can't listen to it in the car. So that's brings us to this point here. So even though 22% listen while they're driving, if they weren't driving anymore, most of them are still going to be listening from home. So this number likely went up over the last couple months. And then the other part of that is people may have found more podcasts that they want to listen to. We do know that on average, podcast listeners do listen to up to 7 shows a week. So that is a pretty big number. And there's just some more demographics over here. We know that they're usually in a higher income range, a little more educated. So there's a lot of different people that you can reach inside podcasts. You want to think about what is the way that your audience consumes media. How do they consume content? And if you can get that, then that's the method that you want to stick with. That would be your primary method. And then as you have time, then you would add in other types of content as well. Because the more that you can be seen, the more people are going to remember your name. You have to create brand awareness if nobody knows you. If you're not a household name, like some of the big brands, then you really want to give yourself every advantage to be seen in as many places as possible. And content can do that for you. Is it a little time consuming? Yeah, that's why I say add in one at a time, unless you can leverage somebody else on your team or outsource it. But once you get your name out everywhere, then people will start recognizing it. It used to be, the saying was, it used to take 7 times for someone to see you before they would know, like, trust you, buy from you. Well, now it's 10 times that, because we're bombarded with thousands of messages and thousands of brands every single day. So live streams are another way. So live streams are slightly different than recorded video because you're literally going live. And a lot of people might be a little afraid to do that. And if that's just never going to be your thing, then there's 2 ways around it. Just like podcasts are audio, and we were talking about screencasts with video, you can do that with live streams as well, where you're just sharing your screen. So if you're really afraid to be on camera, and I know because in the 10 years we've been doing that, only about 10% of our clients have been comfortable being on camera. That's why we train on that. Some people would just rather have a root canal. A lot of people are deathly afraid of public speaking. If that's you as well, then do a live stream where you're not on camera, where you're just showing your screen, if that works for you. If not, then this is something that you would either have to find a way to get comfortable with, or you just wouldn't want to do it. But the statistics show that people like live streaming. They show up more, they retain information more, they can ask questions, and they watch it more when it's live than afterwards. So once you get your following sort of primed that, maybe you're going to be live every week, then they're going to start looking for that. But there's a whole methodology about what you produce and all that kind of stuff that is a little out of the scope here. But just know that live streams can be incredibly beneficial. And one of the ways that you can practice with that is you can actually create a group and you're the only person in there, or add, your mom, your spouse, a daughter, whomever it is, put one other person in there, and they don't even have to be on. You can just do it with yourself, and then launch up Zoom, or just use the Facebook, I think it's called a watch party now, or not watch party. They're called Facebook rooms now. So what you can do is just practice on your own. You're only talking to yourself. And as you get more and more comfortable, then add one more person in. And then as you get comfortable with just that one person, just keep practicing, because the more practice we do, the more comfortable we're going to feel. But I guarantee nobody is, I used to think that too. I was like, oh, everybody's going to be judging me, until you realize that only one person is going to show up for your first Facebook Live. So it's okay. So don't think that hundreds of people are going to see you the first time you go live and be judging you. So you have plenty of time to get familiar and get experienced with that whole system, okay? And you will reap the benefit. So the next thing I want to talk about is how offers that you can create will build your list. And offers can come in a lot of different forms. You can do a webinar like this. You can do a challenge. If you're on Facebook at all, it would be nearly impossible to not have seen some sort of challenge going on. Some people only talk about them in their Facebook group, where others are actually doing ads for it as well. So challenges are just hot topics right now, and so are summits. And a summit can be something that you host, or you could be a guest speaker on somebody else's summit. That would be, if you've never done it before, probably the way that you would want to go. Same with webinars, because there's a lot of moving parts to set those up. But again, they can be really valuable, and they can also be very low cost, because if you can get on board with other speakers where everybody is sharing with their own following, then you have the opportunity to get in front of audiences that you wouldn't normally be seen by. And tutorials, that's another one. So let's say that you have a free opt-in on your website. We do this with a landing page where I teach people how to set up video Facebook ads. Okay, so, and that's something that you could just have an opt-in, but they have to give you, the whole thing is a trade, right? They have to give you their name and their email. I don't recommend asking for phone number. The more fields that you have that you're requiring people to fill out, the less you're going to get. So if you can just ask for email, great. You always have to have that. Name and email, typically fine. Once you start asking for phone or address or all these other types of things, it's going to go down with every form field you add. So less is going to get you more in this situation. So start thinking about the type of things that you can give away. Now, these are interactive offers, right? So webinars, somebody's going to show up live. They're going to ask questions, challenges. They have things to do. Summits, there's several speakers. Again, there's going to be a question and answer period. A tutorial, they're going to be watching that and consuming that information and then go doing something. You're teaching them. Now, another type of offer is a downloadable product, or usually a downloadable info product, right? And you can use things like lists. Have you ever done that? You've probably seen something like 10 ways to blah, 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 right? And all you got to do is give me your email and I'll send you this right away. Lists, cheat sheets, swipe files, white papers, ebooks, all of these can work as well. It's just you're not going to have as long term as you would with the interactive, right? So this is a little bit longer with the exception of a tutorial, unless you're going to do that live with them. This they're going to consume on their own. So it does help get somebody on your email list and you can start a relationship with them that way, but there's no interaction. They're just going to give you their information and then you can build a relationship with them via email. If you do offer a free download and you don't have some sort of email autoresponder in place, then it's not as beneficial for you, because an autoresponder, you can set that up and then it works automatically. I don't recommend doing newsletters. Nobody really responds to that anymore, but find something that's valuable and it should be short to consume. Ebooks are a little bit longer, so if you're going to do an ebook, make it shorter or at least make it really value packed, but most people download stuff and don't ever use it. Whereas if it's something that's really short and they can consume it, you could even say, you can consume this content in 5 minutes, right? Or, this 5-minute tutorial, blah, blah, blah. So think about that, because we want people to consume the content so that they can kind of get a taste of our expertise. Then there's low cost offers, right? So we know if we get somebody to even spend $1 with us, then they're likely to spend more. So you want to get that first dollar. So if you can come up with a small one-time offer, whether it's $4.95, $7, and again, depending on your niche, maybe your offer might even be, your low cost offer might be $99. So think about the things, and sometimes it's a portion of something else. I was talking to a friend the other day and she has this big 10-step training thing. I'm like, well, can't you take just one of those out? Just take one piece out. Something that shows them that they're going to want the next step. So don't be a way to give away something for free that might be part of another paid for product or service. A membership program, and this can be free or paid for. I've got both. So if you have something that you can deliver some content for that is more robust, but you're training and teaching all the time, you can offer that for free. If you do a monthly subscription, the stats on that are that people will stay with you for about 3 months. So rather than trying to do a monthly subscription, you might just want to think about doing it as a 1-year fee, and what would that 3-month subscription be? Because otherwise they're going to drop, and if they stay in, then you have more chance to build a relationship with them. And then also, once they've done business with you the first time, again, they're more likely to buy something else from you again. So that's important. And then your information can be a standalone evergreen type of thing, right? So it's something that the information probably won't change too much. You may need to go in and change it over time, but it can be something like that that's not going to change. And again, it could be one-time fees are best. If you're going to do a monthly charge, you want to make it kind of small, something that people aren't going to think about. Once you get in the $30, $40, $50 range, you are going to lose people after the first few months. Another thing that you can do to add some money to your bank account right now is become an affiliate for someone else. And the cool thing about that is if your product isn't selling right now because of what's going on, or maybe you're just starting with your business, being an affiliate for somebody else allows you to make commission from other products or services. And there's opportunities for you to even make relationships with other affiliates, not GoDaddy or Amazon, but whether it's coaches or somebody else in your industry. Once you start selling their stuff and they're giving you a commission, then when you have something to sell, you can ask them if they would promote it to their following as well. But you always want to give before you get, right? So here's one of your bonus strategies, and that's what can you teach? So if your main product or service is kind of on the shelf right now, or you're waiting to build something up, think about what else that you can monetize, right? So your business is your business, but maybe you have hobbies. So I want you to think about this. People always, and put it in the comments, I'd love to see. People always tell me, I wish I was as good at blank as you are, right? Those are things that you can probably monetize, because if you can teach somebody else how to do something, even if it's one step better than they are now, people will pay you to do that. So think about other ways that you can add some income right now until your other main product or service takes off. Now, a lot of people have compliance issues. I know that's true in insurance and in finance. So what you can do here is find other people whose events you can sponsor. That's one way that you can get your name out over and over again, is simply by sponsoring people's events that already sell to your audience. Okay, so you're going to start looking for that, whether it's local or online. Either one works. So here are some other ways to help your business. Number one, even if you may have time on your hands right now, so this is the time to learn a new skill. Like all the things that we were talking about before, if you don't know how to do those, everything's time or money, right? Either we have to do it on our own or we have to pay somebody else. So if you have more time right now, learn a skill right now that you'll be able to implement when the time is right, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to start preparing so that I can be better at social media, so that I can do videos, so that I can do webinars. And most training you can find cheap or free. You can go to YouTube first. You can look for free downloads. You can go to Udemy. There's all kinds of courses out there. There's just a ton of stuff. And I always say look for free first. And then if you need someone to coach you or be able to ask questions, then you'll want to pay for some training. So outsourcing is another great way. Again, if you have some time on your hands right now, this is the time. Even if you're not ready to hire someone right now, you can start putting together a list of people that you might want to talk to. And the thing is, if you outsource overseas, you can get pretty affordable talent. It's just, you need to be able to research, qualify, and communicate properly. And you can start a list now of people that you might want to contact down the road. Just make your wish list of the people that you wish you had on your team, even if you have a small budget, even if you only have $100 a month, $200, $300, right? You can get really affordable help for people to do one-off tasks, recurring tasks, even like social media help for $200 a month. Is it going to be perfect? No, but it's going to give you a huge head start. You can also find an intern. So there's a lot of people that want to build their portfolio. So they're practicing. So again, it may not be perfect, but you can either teach an intern to help you, or if it's somebody, let's say if it's a social media intern and they're building their client, or a web developer or a writer, whatever it is. And school's out right now, so there's a lot of students with time on their hands. So that's just going to take some time to search, and you could post in Facebook or LinkedIn groups, or just ask friends and family, and you will find people. You can also check with your alma mater. So you could post, if you're in an alma mater group, on any of your social media profiles, you can ask in there, does anyone know how I can get a free intern from, your college? The next thing you can do is get people who might want to trade or barter. So I've done this in the past. Sometimes it's been good, sometimes it hasn't. So it's generally going to be hit and miss depending on what your product or service is. And if you can, my rule of thumb now is unless it's something I'm actively looking to buy, I don't typically trade for someone, even though it's nice to have. Ultimately, I don't want to give away my time unless it's more balanced. But in my first starting days, I did that, I did that quite a bit more. So even if it was a little bit unbalanced. But so go ahead and think about what it is. Again, first figure out what you want first, and then see if you can find someone that would trade for that would also need your help. And again, you can check, there's different bartering groups online. There's actual communities that you can join for that, and Facebook group and LinkedIn groups as well. So let's give a quick recap. Network online, you want to make valuable connections, not just sell, and you're not just looking for your customers, clients, patients. You also want to build strategic partnerships and these power partners where you can give referrals back and forth. You're going to share your content so that you can build your brand and just be seen in as many places and as frequently as you can. You can use free offers to grow your email list so that you have a pool of people coming in continually that you can build a relationship with that'll eventually buy from you. You can use low-cost offers to either your list or a cold audience, as long as it's a low-cost offer, and start generating customers and revenue that way. You can have a membership or continuity program. This might have recurring or higher priced offers. And again, you can't sell a higher priced offer to someone generally cold. You've got to at least have a reputation or have sold something else to them first. Another way to generate some income right now is to share other people's offers or other people's products that have affiliate commission with that, and you can make some extra money. And if it's somebody that's going to see your name, if you're doing well, then when you're ready to promote, you can ask them to promote you as well too. And then you can also supplement your income with some other knowledge that you have, something else that you can teach in the interim. And with that, that's what I have for you today, and happy to answer any questions. You can feel free to reach out to me via email at angela@sixdegreesdigitalmedia.com. You can visit our website at sixdegreesdigitalmedia.com. We're located in Phoenix, and our number is 480-534-1625. And we also have a free Facebook group. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you have some questions that you think about later, you can go ahead and pop into that Facebook group. Just ask to join, and I'll add you. And you can pop in whatever questions that you have there as well, and I'm happy to answer those. And with that, now I'll take a breath and get a little sip of water and see what questions there are.
Yes, so if anyone has any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box or the Q&A, and we can go ahead and answer those. I'll give everyone like a minute or so, type out their questions. Meanwhile, Angela can sing some elevator music, coffee shop music maybe.
Well, now that we're at the end, then they might, they're thinking about it. But let's see if I can see the chat questions. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, Monica. You're welcome, Pedro. Glad. I hope you guys found this valuable. We obviously do. We do content all the time. So if you're hungry for more, you can visit our website for our blogs, our YouTube channel, and Facebook page. Typically have some strategic information. Our Facebook group is a little more fun. We're actually just making a big shift starting on Monday with our Facebook group. So we're making a shift from more strategy driven to more edutainment driven. So that's where you might actually see me sing. Hey, Kalani, you're welcome, Eddie and Sherry, and let's see. Gosh, is it possible to get the slides? It's being recorded, so I believe Faustine had said that it was going to be at events.bbb.org, right? So, yeah. So there you go. So it was a pleasure speaking with you guys today. So I'd love to know What do you think you're going to use? Who in here is already producing content, or who's producing video? Who's producing podcasts? Who's doing webinars? Who's got a free offer? Let me know. I want to know what you guys are doing. Don't be shy. You don't have to be on camera. You can drop a comment in the chat. Producing videos, good. Yeah, there's a lot of great ways. There's a lot of great ways to produce video. It just depends on how much editing you want. The free ones have a little more limitations. If you want to be a full-on editor, then we use, I usually recommend something like Camtasia. And then up from there is, you know, things that are a little more complicated, a little more learning curve, like Adobe Premiere, things like that. But Camtasia is actually not that bad. Okay, so I don't know whether I did a really good job with explaining everything and nobody has any questions, or people don't want to drop their question in. But oh, good, you do videos, great. I would love to see them. Host a weekly webinar, great. Stephanie, what's your business? Weekly webinar to bring just a taste of the services. Thanks, Phyllis. Well, I'll be excited to know if you guys are planning on implementing something. I'd love to know what you're doing now. And Heart and Soul Fitness and Wellness. Oh, great! I will go add you as soon as we're done here. So, actually, you know what? I can. Should I grab that link real quick and put that in? Let's see. I think I can grab my Facebook group link. And oh no, I can't actually. But just get it back here. I will. Again, it's called Exceptional Entrepreneurs Marketing with Vision. So I know it's a lot to type out, but sorry, I didn't have that ready to drop in the chat. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Oh, well, now you're going to get some kind of prize for that for sure. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, it was great. It was really great. I'm getting to share all this information with you guys today. Thanks for having me, Faustine. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't see any other questions. I think you covered everything well, I guess. There's no questions. But thank you so much, Angela, for taking time out of your busy day to present today's webinar. I think the information is definitely valuable. So hopefully our attendees are able to take away something and start implementing it. So awesome information. Thank you so much again. Thank you everyone for attending. This webinar is recorded, so it will be available on events.bbcommunity.org. I just dropped that link in the chat option. Within 1 to 2 business days, usually it takes that couple of days just because our video producer has to brand it correctly. So, but thank you everyone for attending. Please have a great day out there and please stay safe.